Okay, last Metal Monday of February. We'll be in March. I mean, if you can judge where Ferris is going to be by what the new steel is doing, it should be up, right?
Yeah.
Should it be up 100? We will be up 100?
I think that I might have gotten into some people's skin on that post.
I loved it.
But sometimes, I don't know, the funniest shit in life is the shit that's true, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many, circumstances. And in fact, I even have my Nucor shirt on today just to prove I still have love. But I'm also one of those guys that just call shit like that, the way I see it, right? And luckily,
they're going. I think Nucor started the trend, right?
Yeah,
they just bumped their price.
Everybody's bumped the new steel price, and the lead times are getting stretched out. I got my Bulls versus Bears podcast with Chad on Wednesday, so I'm interested to hear what his point of view is. Chad was thinking that maybe, in our original podcast that last month that maybe February was the top of the market. And obviously, I don't, a week ago we had this conversation. And I was like, well,
I
I'm
felt
hearing
like we
soft
were there.
Sideways,
Yep. I felt like we were going to see a down market.
It didn't take long for people to start saying, well, new steel went up. Lead times are getting stretched out, and maybe you could anticipate a price bump and an increase, and that's the way it looks like it's trending today. Will that trend be that way at the end of this week? I guess depends on what the market does. Depends on so many external factors, right? But I'm always going to be protective of the scrap guy. It's my job to protect our company and get the best price I can while maintaining relationships. And I think that's where I come from when I post shit is I'm trying to give the perspective of the guys that are doing what I'm doing every day, which is watching new steel companies make record profits and pass on the fucking peanuts and the crumbs. So it is what it is. I still got a lot of love. I still sell domestically. I prefer to sell in America if I can. As much material as we can, whether it's copper, aluminum. I don't export a lot of scrap. It stays here domestically. I just want to be looked at more as a partner than, just a
we just want to be treated fair. All the scrap guys want to be treated
Always,
fair.
100%. And that's with any relationship,
yes.
right? I just want it to be amicable.
Yes, and I understand the new steel and the scrap side, it's a different, there's some different variables that go into it. I get that.
Yep.
But if you talk to any scrap guy, they always feel like they're getting the short end of the stick
Yeah.
when it comes to that.
Maybe we're just like a bunch of fucking complainers.
Yeah.
We never can get enough, right? But ultimately, when you see what the price of new steel is selling for, and you see what you're selling scrap for, and you look at the historical margins, you start to feel kind of
historical bonuses to these executives.
You start to feel like, God
that's where
damn,
people
man.
get bent, I think.
Yeah,
when you're getting bonused out a couple mil, that's just crazy to me. You know?
So I understand. And there's a lot of years when steel mills don't make any money and they actually get their ass kicked, right? So they have to put some hay in the barn. I 100% understand that. But there's a lot of years when we're in the same position and we're actually the ones that feed the material, right? So when the export market turns on, which mark my words, it's going to, and the dollar comes off these historical highs, mark my words, it's going to. Now, I'm not predicting when, because I feel like that's a fool's...
Is it going to do it in 23?
I don't know. That's a fool's game anymore. I've started to learn to try and predict where this thing goes, but you're going to want to know that your key suppliers are willing to ship domestically instead of exporting at the first opportunity because they feel like they've been having the wood put to them for a long time.
So what you're saying is relationships are still really important.
1,000%.
Okay.
And
that's what we beat our drum to. Is
how do we get the business that we get?
Relationships.
We take care of our customers. Our customers are people that are bringing us the scrap that we can process, right? We're dropping the bins, roll-offs, everything. We take care of them in a lot of different ways. So the moment you forget the reason that you're in business is to take care of your customer, then shit goes sideways.
The best way to take care of your customer, we've said this a bunch of times, is to start with your employees. You take care of your employees, they will take care of the customers. You know,
1,000%. And you know how else you take care of your customer? Leave some money on the fucking table.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, as soon as it gets one-sided, and it only goes one-sided, and you don't ever leave any money on the table for your customer.
Yeah. 100%.
The writing's on the wall, man.
So we've seen some non-Ferris wise. We've seen some recoveries from at a shitty end of the week last week. This is a couple Mondays in a row where it's green though.
Yeah.
It's because we see a bloodbath like Thursday, Friday before it. You know, Rhodium's still off though.
Oh.
Rhodium's just getting its butt kicked.
Yeah, 9,700 this morning.
Under 10. It's under 10, which we haven't seen that for a long time.
Yeah.
But copper went back above 4.
Yeah, I was saying it was 398, something like that, a little bit ago. Where's it at right today?
It was like 401
Today? Like
on
right
COMEX right now.
Okay, so it was 398 earlier this morning.
Yeah.
Aluminum's up. You know, I mean, everything got monkey hammered last.
Yeah, so a lot of it, like,
right?
you know, that's where it's all perspective. I get this question all the time, like, how's the market? I'm like, well, what lens are we looking at? Are we looking at, like, a 24-hour lens? Because the 24-hour lens, copper looks good. If we're looking at a week lens, it kind of sucks, you know?
Yeah, but 6 months ago, copper was mid-3.
Exactly.
Right?
It's all about the lens. So,
perspective.
yeah, it's all about that. Like, that's where it's hard for me to answer that question sometime. I'm like, I'm still happy. It's right around 4. I'm happy.
If copper's around $4, you should be in good shape. You know, it's at least it's enough to move the needle. Aluminum still decent. Seen it way worse than it is today. Nickel is trying to put together a strong showing for the day. You know, platinum and palladium are
They're doing all right.
They're trying to bounce back a little bit.
So rhodium is getting its butt
and
kicked.
you know that's because that market is so illiquid, right? Like, there's just not as much, nearly the amount of trading that goes on in the platinum, and then even less in the palladium, and then a minute amount on the rhodium markets, right? So it's like, one trade moves that needle in a big way.
That's why it's so volatile.
It's very volatile in the hundreds of dollars per ounce, right? So that knife always cuts both ways, up or down. So it is what it is. You kind of ride the train. But the base metals are in fairly good shape, relatively speaking. So, and if we get some bump in the ferrous, then that's bodes well going into the springtime. The problem is I think the reason why you're going to get a bump, and Chad and I have this conversation all the time, is they're just the flow is shitty, and I don't care what anybody says. Like, across the country, I talk to a lot of people, and you might have the anomaly, a guy that's got a job going on in his backyard.
A big job will change everything.
Across the board, the scrap is limited. The volume of scrap is limited. I know this by going through our yards. This scrap's limited, and Chad and I will have the same conversation again, and I'll beat that horse. But, that goes back to the same reason why, when scrap's limited, you want to make sure you're taking care of the people that are feeding it to you.
Yeah. Well, next week, hopefully we have good news. Hopefully the weather gets a little better across the country, and the flows, that could help with the flows, including the price, and we'll just see where it shakes out this spring.
I love it. Well, we'll see you guys next week, and we'll hopefully have a little bit better of an update for you on where the ferrous market actually landed.
Have a good week, everybody.
Great week.